I'm Robin, and this video will teach you how to bake challah. If you're not familiar, challah is the traditional braided bread that Jewish people eat on Friday night. It also makes delicious French toast or sandwiches. My silverware project was baking challah for the caring committee to distribute to members of my temple. I'll be using 6 pounds of flour, which usually makes 8 to 12 loaves, but I will attach a recipe below using just 2 pounds of flour. Let's get started! For this recipe, you will need 6 pounds of high gluten flour. This is flour that you can find at any kosher market. You will also need yeast, sugar, water, salt, oil, and 3 eggs. The rest of the measurements will be in the description down below. To start off, I will be using 1.5 cups of water and 4 tablespoons and 1 teaspoon of dry yeast. These will get mixed together using a wooden spoon, and I will add the sugar so that the yeast can grow. I used 1.25 cups of sugar. So while the yeast is rising, I'm going to be sifting the 6 pounds of flour we need to build the base of the challah. After the flour is sifted, we're going to add the other ingredients. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons and 1 teaspoon of salt, oil, which is 3/4 cups of oil, and I'm going to crack 3 eggs into a smaller bowl. Traditionally, it's customary to check the eggs for blood spots because it's not kosher to eat eggs with blood. Always remember to wash your hands after you work with eggs because eggs can carry salmonella. Now I'm just going to take a mixing spoon and mix all of these ingredients together. Next we're going to add the water. So for this recipe we need 6 cups of water, but I used 1.5 to let the yeast rise. So now we're going to add 4.5 cups of water. And now we're going to continue to mix. After you've done the best you can to combine all your ingredients, we're going to take it out of the bowl so you can knead it on the mat. You can see that at the bottom of the bowl there's still a lot of flour that has not been mixed into the rest of your ingredients. Once your dough is nice and workable, we're going to use a neutral oil like vegetable oil or canola oil to drizzle over the bowl so we can set it off to rise. So I just drizzled some vegetable oil in my bowl, and I'm going to put the ball of dough into the bowl and roll it around a few times so that we get a nice coating of the oil. Our dough looks perfect and ready to go. So we're gonna cover it with a damp towel. You can use a linen towel or a paper towel. And we're just going to drape it over so that the dough can rise. So now we're back and it's been a few hours. I usually like to let the dough rise for about an hour and a half, but I let it rise for a little bit longer today. And as you can see, it got really big. So the first thing we do is we try to pop all the air bubbles. So we fold everything in and we punch it down. It's best to get all the air bubbles out so we can work with it easier. So when I make challah, I usually have 5 different types of pans because I usually make different shapes and sizes. So here we have some shallow small rounds, some larger deep rounds which are, you can tell, a lot bigger, and some middle-sized deep rounds. And then we also have some long ovals and some longer ovals. So after you knead and punch out all the bubbles in the bowl, we're going to take it out and put it on the sheet and start to knead it some more. In Jewish tradition, challah baking is a women's own way of getting closer to God, and usually women, while making the challah, they'll say special prayers, and it's a special time to connect with God. It's also customary to take a small piece, about a small handful, size of dough out first, because it symbolizes giving the best and first part to God. So now I'm just going to be splitting the dough in half so I can set it aside and break it into smaller pieces to start making our challah. And I just cut it in half one more time. And this is still looking really big, so I'm going to cut it one more time. So this is our ball of dough now. And the first type of challah, the first type of braid I'm going to be teaching you is a 4-strand braid. So we're going to cut this in half, and in half one more time. So we have 4 pieces. If one piece looks a little bit bigger than the other, you can always add it to the other ones. It's a very forgiving dough. So we're going to start by just rolling out our dough. So once you have your 4 strands, we're going to just put them all together, connected at one of the ends. And give them their final stretches. And now we're going to start braiding it. So, once we have all of them connected, we're going to take the first one on the left side and bring it over the first one, under the second, and over the last. Over the first one, under the second, over the last. Over the first one, under the second, and over the last. Over the first one, under the second, and over the last. This one started looking a little bit long, so I'm just going to add a little bit to the end of this so we can stretch it out. Over the first one, under the second, and over the last. And one more over the first one, under the second, and over the last. And we're just going to roll the bottom together. So here we have the 4-strand braid. Okay, so once you finish braiding your first challah, you're going to put it on a piece of parchment paper. And now you're going to take one of your tins. This is just a long oval one. And we're going to put it inside and set it off. And we're going to set it off for some more time to rise. The second type we're going to be doing is a 6-stranded braid. So we're going to start in the same way by slicing it in half down the middle. And then we're just going to break it up into 3 pieces on each side. So now to do a 6-strand braid, I just rolled out all of them, and we're going to start by crossing the dough from the right side over under the left side, which is also going to cross over. So we're going to start this by using a little rhyme that I used when teaching a challah baking class, because I couldn't find a video to help teach a 6-strand braid. We're going to start by taking the second one on the right and crossing it over. So this is called second one over. We're just going to say second one over. Next, we're gonna take the one on the end and bring it to the center of the 4 in the middle. So that we're gonna say end to the center. So next we're gonna take the one that's on the second on the left side and do second one over, and we're going to bring the end to the center of the 4. And we're gonna do that a few more times. So second one over, end to the center. 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 Second one over and end to the center, but now we're at the end, so we're just going to curl this up. So now we're just going to do the same thing again and put the challah you just made on the parchment and into the long oval tin. And we're going to set it off to rise. The next challah we're going to be doing is a traditional round challah that is used for the high holidays such as Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So we're going to start by breaking it up into 4. So cut it once down the middle, again. So now we have our 4 strands rolled out, and we're going to start by laying 2 of them down vertically and having the other 2 horizontally over them. So what you want to do is you want to have one over and one under. So with this strand, we're going to have it under this one, over this. So it will be like, this one will be also under this and over that. And this one will be under this one, but over this one. So now that our strands are all together, we're going to start by taking the strand on the right side and crossing it over the one on the left on each of the sections. Once you get to the end, we're going to go the other way, but we're going to start with the one that was crossed over. We're going to cross the one that was previously on the left over to the one that just came over onto the side. Now that we have this finished, we're going to just tuck the ends under so it looks neat. And you finished your round challah. Now we're just going to finish doing the same step as before, and we're going to put the challah you just made on a piece of parchment. And this time I'm just using a round, medium-sized pan, and we're putting this inside. And we'll set it off. For the last challah, we're just going to be finishing off with my personal favorite, the pull-apart. So we're going to start by splitting it into 12 balls, or 12 sections. So cut it into 4 and cut each section into 3. For this pull-apart challah, instead of rolling each ball of dough out into little strands, we're going to be balling it up so we can make a pull-apart. So we're going to take the ball, and I like to roll it up a little bit, and then I pinch the top and fold it into the bottom, like so. And we're going to do that with every piece. Instead of just rolling it, this gives it some more texture and just makes it look nicer. So usually my pull-aparts are a little bit smaller, but because we're working with a big batch today, I'm going to be using a little bit of a larger circle, just like we used for the last challah. So for this, instead of putting it all together first and then putting it in the pan, we're going to lay all of them out by putting them in the pan. So now we're just going to be putting all of the balls inside this pan. I'm using a circle, just like the last one. It's a medium-sized circle. So yeah. So we're going to start just by putting them just around the edge. of the pan. I usually do about 9 around the outside, and then I put the remaining 3 into the center. And we'll set this one off. So the best way to finish off on a challah is by doing an egg wash. So we're just going to crack an egg into a bowl, and just like before, we're going to check for blood spots to make sure that we can use the egg. So now we're just going to make our egg wash by mixing up the egg. And we're going to take the challahs that we just made and brush the egg wash over them. So after you've brushed the egg wash over your challahs, we're going to top them with anything really you want to top it with. So I like using sesame seeds, like these. I like using sesame seeds and also some poppy seeds. And I also found this cool everything mix from a store. This is just from one of the kosher markets near me. But I like just classic sesame and sometimes poppy seeds. So now we're just gonna sprinkle them over. And if you want to, you can also leave them plain or put some poppy seeds on. I'm gonna put some poppy seeds on the round one over here. And I'm going to leave the pull part over here plain. So now our challahs are ready to go, and the oven is preheating to 450 degrees, and we're going to put them in for 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, we'll rotate them and drop the temperature to 350 and keep them in for 15 to 20 more minutes until they're golden brown and reach a temperature of about 185.